Hello, I'm John Thorne from Silverstone Shooting Centre, and in this programme we're talking about all the different optics you can use on a practical mini rifle. Welcome back. Now, optics. Now in the good old days, most of the time when people shot practical mini rifle in the UK, the range was quite short, up to even 25 metres maximum sometimes, which meant the choice of optics was down to a personal choice of either a holographic or a red dot sight mounted on top, or a magnified scope if it's more suited for you. Now, since obviously we've started doing mini rifle up to 100 metres, we've been looking at different ways of using different optics, and I have 3 different sets of shooting a gun on this gun. On the primary, which is what the main, of course, I have a Hawk magnified scope, which is magnified from 1 to 6 times. Now, what I used to do in terms of how I zeroed this one was that I would literally zero the gun at a certain distance, for most case 25 metres, then I would hold over up and down on the scope for different distances. Now, I still do that to some extent, but what I've found a new way of doing it, well, not new, it's new to me, I think it's a much better way, is I now have multiple zeros mounted and marked onto the scope. So I can see from my elevation, the Hawk has lock-stop turrets, I can move my zero and it's marked on the turret which zero I have. Because I now shoot supersonic rounds, I have a 100 metre zero, so I turn it round, twist it around 100 metres, pop it back, I know that's bob on at 100 metres. If I have a course of fire that's maximum 50 metres, but some targets are say 10 metres, or even less, I then change the zero to probably 25 metres, back on. I can still hold over accordingly, but it means I can look at it and actually have my target in the centre of my crosshairs in the centre of the target, rather than worrying about holding her under. The reason I've done this is that I did some testing at another competition, and I ended up in one course of fire shooting too high on one target and too low on the others on the same zero. So clearly my small tiny brain can't cope with multiple holdovers. So going this is a better way of doing it. Now, normally this method of changing your turret markings is more for long distance shooting. People are shooting 100 metres to 600 metres. But the concept works with shorter distances as well. As long as you mark it on the scope properly, you shouldn't need to change windage, just elevation. It means you can then adjust it back and forth. And obviously with a Hawk scope, once it's pushed in, it won't move. I have to pull it up, adjust it back, and then push it back down again. So it's quite useful. Other 2 ones I have on here is I have an aim point red dot sight, which is now 0 to 5 metres. So literally those targets right in your face. The reason why is if I have a zero at this at say 20, 30 metres, it will shoot too low at very close up targets. And it's a close up targets you can get the maximum time because they're on as fast as you possibly can. Okay, so this is zeroed very short, 5-6 metres. This can be zeroed anywhere from 5 to 100 metres with multiple zeros on it. Takes a lot of time to set this up. You're sitting there going back and forth and shooting different distances, but it's worth the effort doing so, and it's something you can do at any range. The last thing I have, which is a little bit unique to most people, is I have a laser. It's a attachment down the bottom of my handguard here, and I literally push a hand onto it, and I have a laser coming up. Okay, this is kind of a green pulse laser. You can't buy these, it was a gift from someone. Now this is used for 2 reasons. First of all, you do get a lot of course of fire where you are standing position and target right there. Okay, so from my perspective, and I did actually win a course of fire once at Birmingham, where you can hip shoot it. So your starting position is say as a racing start, target right there, it is so much faster. Let me show you this one now. So what I'll do is I'll do a standard up and then use my dot. So 1.08 seconds, not bad to be honest. But let's try it again with a laser. .59. So let's try that again just to be absolutely sure. Yeah, 0.61. I don't care how fast you are getting your gun up to your eye. There's not much space, you can't get any quicker than that. Now I may never use it. In fact, I've only used the laser at all this year once. But if you have it, it's worth having it. It doesn't weigh anything at all, and it's worth having. The second reason to have a laser is for people like me who are left-handed shooters, where you have a scenario where you have to get round the barrier. Okay, now it's easier for me left-handed because most course of fire tend to be favouring right-handed shooters. But what you want to try to do is that it may well be that you can actually shoot the gun and not have your scope on it at all. So I can shoot it from there. So let's say this barrier is right in my way. I can't see it. I can look at it without getting down the scope. So the same thing applies. There you go. I'm on the target straight away. I'm not wasting time. Now again, very specific course so far you could use it, but it's worthwhile having it rather than not having it. And again, the laser is a very short distance. I'm not looking to shoot something at 50, 60 meters with a laser. So if you add them all together, I can shoot a laser or a red dot, and then my primary scope, different distances. And again, this primary to secondary is crucial, because if we have course of fire, we'll have a target very close, another target further away. If you have different zeros, different holdovers, you're going to get lost, like I did. Or you have different ones, different process. So I can shoot different targets, differences quite quickly. There you go, out. So you can see basically the plan there is that I can very quickly go from one distance to another distance, then back down again. So it's quite crucial to have that. And like I said, it takes some time to practice getting the zero on the scope. Certainly work out the holdovers first, where you're shooting at a certain distance, and then see how much you have to aim up or lower on that point at targets different distances. But the next thing you do is obviously reset your zeros. So you can go to a course of fire. I can see a target's maximum distance 50 meters. I'll set my zero 50 meters. Gives you that opportunity to do so. All right, hopefully quite useful. Needs a bit of kit to be fair enough, and I don't recommend this for a beginner. It takes time to learn this process behind it. It's also quite expensive. There's a stick in a 2,500 quid it. So it takes time to learn this process, but it's certainly worth trying. And the laser, I think, is a good thing to have. Best to have it and not need it than not to have it at all. Hope that's useful. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Cheers.